Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys. Thursday, May the 8th. Ian Cameron and Matty Robinson in the house and ready to talk Thursday NHL Stanley Cup playoff action. Two game twos taking place tonight with Carolina, Washington, and Edmonton, Vegas, with the Canes and the Oilers holding series leads going into game two tonight. It's also a Patreon exclusive betcast Thursday night, tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Tonight, it is our latest Patreon exclusive Stanley Cup playoffs live betcast. So make sure you join us. I don't know if we can top, full disclosure, I do not know if we can fucking top what we did last Thursday. That was insanity with the profits in the late night hours, with the live overs, the live in-game overs, with those two games that just went off the rails as far as goals, the Dallas-Colorado Game 6 and the Edmonton-LA Game 6 last Thursday night. And we all hit these crazy over 8.5, 9.5 parlays in game last Thursday with those two games. That was great to see that and cash those. So hopefully we've got more profits on the way tonight with our Patreon exclusive Stanley Cup playoffs live betcast, 7 p.m. Eastern tonight. And make sure you subscribe at patreon.com/iceguys. It's the only way to join us on the betcast tonight. So again, $10 per month. Make sure you check it out and be there for the betcast tonight. Patreon.com/iceguys. Looking back on last night, it's such a good positive sign for the Toronto Maple Leafs that they took one hell of a punch from the Florida Panthers last night, because I thought Florida played a lot better in game two last night than they did in game one. They had the start they wanted. They killed off a couple of early Leafs power plays. They got a power play goal with their first opportunity with the man advantage, with Alexander Barkov getting the wrist shot past Joseph Woll and giving the Panthers a 1-0 lead. You know, it was the perfect start for the Panthers. I thought they were definitely the better team in the first period. And it was nice, obviously, to cash Panthers' goal in the first period. That trend just continues to be just sizzling, red hot, almost automatic. It's 28-12 now in the Stanley Cup playoffs. The team that lost the previous game of a series scoring in the first period of the next game, and it cashed, obviously, again there with Florida. But I thought a big moment to kind of settle the game down for the Toronto Maple Leafs was Max Pacioretty getting the tying goal on the deflection very late in the first period. Nice timing to go into the dressing room at the intermission with some momentum, even though, Florida played a really good period and you didn't play your best period. I mean, to get out of that fucking period 1-1 was like a victory for Toronto. And I think it kind of fueled their belief that, hey, we took their best early in that game and we got out of this period 1-1. We can win a hockey game. We can win this thing. We can get the job done. And I thought they got stronger as the game went on. Florida kept pushing too. Like, it was just a phenomenal hockey game. Aside from the officiating, both ways there were horrific missed calls and horrific calls that were made that shouldn't have been, both ways in that game last night. The officiating was porous, piss poor, pretty much for most of that game. But it didn't ruin what was a great hockey game. It's really been two terrific games between these two teams. Even though Toronto's gone up 2-0 in the series, both games were very close, very competitive. The intensity's been off the charts. The momentum swings, and the shifts back and forth with the momentum throughout the series have been something else. But yeah, the Leafs do not panic. And I think the biggest difference this year, the Nylander goal, what a pass from Pacioretty tying that game. Then going ahead, obviously, with the 3-2 goal, Max Domi, bargain bin winner. I had that gut feel, and that's why I went with it. There was nothing statistically that said, let's bet Max Domi, to score a goal last night. There was nothing statistically that indicated that. But plus 680, it felt like he was going to make an impact. It was a feel type of thing for me. So, you look at it, and Max Domi took another great play by Lorentz to set that up, the former Panther, giving Toronto the 3-2 lead there in the second period. And again, the Leafs are in position with 20 minutes to go to win that game. But Florida's not going away, obviously. And Anton Lundell, early in the third, on the doorstep, ends up getting it in past Wool, tying the game. But again, Toronto, they've been just wizards at just anything that happens against them in a negative fashion, park it and keep playing. Park and ride, as Daryl Sutter used to say. Park and ride is what he'd always say. When something happens, you just move on and to the next period, the next shift, the next game. And that's what they did again. 3-3. Florida's got all the momentum. Crowd silent again. And seconds later, there's Mitch Marner with the seeing eye seed and bullet from the boards that somehow gets past Sergei Bobrovsky. It was just a shot he didn't even see. It just took off like a rocket into the top of the net from the boards area from Mitch Marner for the 4-3 goal. And Toronto's defense 6-on-5. I mean, the Blues could learn something from that. The Blues are sitting home right now because they couldn't defend 6-on-5 against Winnipeg in Game 7. The Leafs' ability to defend 6-on-5 when the opposition has the extra attacker was great again last night. Hard to get pucks through, blocking shots left and right, winning key faceoffs. Matthews did that down the stretch as well. Key faceoff wins in the D zone, in the final minute or two. And Toronto gets a massive 4-3 win when I thought Florida played a hell of a game. And Toronto just took the punches and counterpunched throughout that hockey game. And that's what gave them the chance to win it. And Joseph Woll, let's be honest, the combination of Joseph Woll and Anthony Stolarz before he got injured has outplayed Sergei Bobrovsky. It's that simple. Sergei Bobrovsky has not been great in this series. I don't think many of the goals were his fault last night, but again, he has not been at that shut the door level that we saw from him last year winning the Stanley Cup for Florida. But you got to give the Leafs one hell of a lot of credit. Their adversity level, withstand adversity and answer and respond to it. It's unlike anything I've seen from them in the last few years. Pacioretty, another great game from him. I mean, all the moves they made look like they're paying off. Look, with Max Pacioretty, they brought him in. He's been great. You look at the blue line, how well they've played. It's just been remarkable to see how well they've played. Jake McCabe saves a goal late in that game, swipes the puck away from the blue paint when it looked like it might have been going in. So just a terrific win for Toronto. And now we'll see what kind of killer instinct the Leafs have. You've won the first 2 home games, but still, Florida's going to go back home, lick their wounds, and I'm no pun intended because I know they're the Cats. But when you look at it, Florida, they're going to be coming out firing again in Game 3 and Game 4. But if the Leafs withstood it in Game 2, we'll see if they can do it again in Game 3, Game 4. They haven't won the series yet. Job's not done. That's the old saying. But like I said, the Leafs took a huge step, holding serve at home, and they've been a great road team all year. Let's not forget that. They've been a really good road team. They closed out a series on the road in the first round against Ottawa. So, like I said, but they look like now they're never rattled. And even if Florida probably gets a lead in Game 3, they're going to just keep playing and don't get rattled. That's been the mantra for the Leafs here in these playoffs. William Nylander, another outstanding game last night as well. Marner, of course, the big guns are stepping up. And I know Matthews isn't scoring as much as the others, but he's doing all the other things right. Winning faceoffs, excellent defensively, and all those little things. So, like I said, Toronto, a hell of a job by them, and now they're up 2-0 in that series, going back to Florida for Game 3 Friday night. And then in the other game last night, Dallas and Winnipeg, it was just a question of what was going to win out. Winnipeg coming off, a tough spot, coming off the Game 7 and all those minutes that they had to play on the blue line in double overtime versus a Dallas team that never wins Game 7s, that entered, or Game 1s, I should say, that was 0-8 in Game 1 of a playoff series going into last night. And it didn't, actually, I should say it didn't start well for Dallas. It was an unfortunate start because they were taking it to Winnipeg in the first period. Just couldn't find that opening goal. Hellebuck made some good saves, but just couldn't finish some of their chances out. They played a really good opening period, Dallas. Winnipeg got some momentum. Okay, we got out of that first period, not playing our best. And then, of course, Nino Niederreiter with just a wicked backhand off the post and in. I don't think there's anything Jake Ottinger could have done. It was a really perfect backhand shot to give Winnipeg the lead. And definitely they had the momentum on their side. Keep in mind, Dallas didn't have a power play up until that point, but eventually they were able to get the opportunity that they were looking for. And then, of course, once they were down 1-0, it just basically became the Mikko Rantanen show at that point once again. And what this guy has done in 4 games really since game 5 of the first round against Colorado. It's been absolutely spectacular. I mean, absolutely incredible stuff. This is taking a team on his back type of stuff from Mikko Rantanen. I mean, are you shitting me that we saw what we saw from him last night? I almost couldn't freaking believe it. I'm like, is this reality? Am I actually seeing a real life actual hockey game and this is actually happening in the game? I couldn't believe my eyes. I mean, here he is getting a not one, not two, but 3 goals in that second period to give him a 3-1 lead, a natural Hattie in the second period of that game to give him now 14 points. That's right, 14 points in the last 4 playoff games for Mikko Rantanen. It's mind-boggling. I mean, there's in terms of all-time 4-game spans in a single playoff, Mikko Rantanen's keeping company with Leon Draisaitl, Rick Middleton, who was a phenomenal Boston Bruin, in his days in the 70s and 80s. And then, of course, Wayne Gretzky's got the 3 top, spots as far as most points in a 4-game span in a single playoff. That's what the company is for Mikko. That's the company that Mikko Rantanen's keeping right now as far as this incredible 14-point run for him in the last 4 games. So he gives them the lead. Scheifele, who played last night, returning from injury, came back, got him back within 1. So some momentum for the Jets going to the third. I didn't love Dallas's third period, quite honestly. I thought, Winnipeg was really pushing, really carrying it as far as that's concerned. And, you look at it, and certainly Winnipeg was really close a couple of times to tying it. I thought Jake Ottinger was phenomenal in that third period. There was a crazy scramble when the Jets had the extra attacker in the final couple minutes, and somehow the puck stayed out. Essa Lindell with a great play. It was very similar, reminiscent of what we saw in the first game last night with Jake McCabe, and the great play that he made. And Dallas gets a 3-2 win. I'm glad we don't have to hear about it anymore. I'm sick of talking about it, and I'm sure Matt and any Dallas fan is sick of hearing about it and talking about it and living it, more importantly, the 8 straight losses in game 1 of a playoff series. It's over. They finally get a game 1 playoff series victory. And by the way, Matt was saying before the show, it's actually the first time Jake Ottinger's had a game 1 win and a 1-0 series lead as well, following game 1 of a series. So here's what I'll say about Winnipeg right now, because we all know what's around the corner for Winnipeg. Game 3 and game 4 back in Dallas on the road. And we all know what Connor Hellebuck has turned into in these playoffs on the road. He's turned into a puddle. He's been shitting bricks. He has been absolutely horrific in these road games. 0-3 in St. Louis in the first round for the Winnipeg Jets on the road and getting lit up like a Christmas tree. Now, their defense hasn't been as good on the road either. They deserve some of the blame as well. But Connor Hellebuck's been awful. 1-9. 1-9 for Connor Hellebuck in his last 10 road playoff starts. 5.4 goals against average. What is awaiting you, Winnipeg, is the chance you're getting your ass swept if you don't win game 2 tomorrow night. That's what's staring you right in the face, because there's not a soul that can tell me with great confidence and great conviction that if you go down 2-0 in this series, that you're confident you're seeing the inside of Canada Life Center again for game 5 with that Hellebuck road disaster run of epic proportions that he's on right now. So if you're the Winnipeg Jets, you better lace up those skates, tighten things up, and find a way to win game 2, or you may not be getting back to Canada Life Center. That's a must-have, must-win game. Period. End of story. There's no argument, no debate. That is a must-have game coming up tomorrow night for the Winnipeg Jets, because your goalie is a sieve on the road here in these playoffs with zero confidence right now that he can get it done away from home. So if you're Winnipeg, you better damn well get game 2 tomorrow night, or you're in big trouble. Matt, your thoughts on a really entertaining night of playoff hockey, Toronto and Dallas victorious?
Yeah, some great games last night, starting with that Florida-Toronto game. And to be honest, after game 1 of that series, it was sort of the Florida team that I expected in the first round. They battled through some injuries this year. They won the cup last year. I kind of expected them to not be so great. They obviously turned it on in the end and kind of made it a game in the third period of game one. But that's sort of what I expected in the first round. And they kind of rolled Tampa. They kind of surprised me, and then it was like, okay, maybe this is how the first or the second round is going to go. And then to your point, I think they played a pretty good game last night. I think Toronto was just better. You know, they were able to capitalize on some chances. They, went down, but then were able to come back, regain the lead a couple times. So, that was good to see out of Toronto. As far as betting goes, um, it was a great game for me for betting purposes. I did take the first period over, which hit there late on that Toronto goal that tied it up. The Pacioretty goal. It was kind of funny. It looked like, you know, he didn't know if he scored, so he buried his own rebound. Obviously, it went in on the initial
Yeah.
tip, but
But you can never
he
be
was
sure.
able
I
to.
like that he followed it up, even though it did
Yeah,
already go
exactly.
in. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Um, but yeah, and then I actually, to get a little juice, I took the over 5.5. It was like -120, but I parlayed it with a Sam Bennett shot and a Matthew Nyes shot, just one shot, and it made it +110. And what's funny is they both had a shot in the first 2.5 minutes of the game, and that was it for Sam Bennett. I think Nyes ended up getting up to two shots, but yeah, they both got a shot early in the game, and then thankfully that came to fruition with the second period goals coming in hot. But yeah, give Toronto credit. Florida had some chances at the end of the third with the empty net. Toronto was able to hold on. That's a big win for them. Um, if we get that same Panthers team that played game two, I think, they have a chance to potentially even this series going back to game five. If we get, anything less than last night, I think Toronto could go home with a 3-1 lead and have a chance to close it out. Um, I'd be surprised if Florida loses both at home, but we'll see. Toronto's playing well. It doesn't look like Stolarz being out has been a big factor or anything like that.
Wool was very good. That's another thing I forgot to mention about. I wanted to give Wool a little bit of credit last night. I thought he couldn't have done much about the goals that went in for Florida, and most importantly, when that game got to 4-3, the Leafs finally got the lead again. He shut the door, and he made a great right pad save at the side of the net on, I think, Lundell or somebody at the side of the net in that third period, stretching to his right. I thought he was terrific. Once he was in the position up 4-3, he shut the door, and that's what you need from your goalie, the timely saves, just like Ottinger
Yeah,
did in the other game. Yep.
for sure, for sure. But yeah, big win for the Leafs. I think they wanted to keep home ice, obviously, so that's big for them to get the two wins and not go to Florida with a split. Um, yeah, and then in the Stars Winnipeg game, we talked about it on Tuesday. I felt like it was finally a chance for Dallas to get a game one win. Um, Sort of a great start for Dallas, first 10 minutes. I think the shot attempts were 15-0 at one point. I think the shots were 9 or 10-0. Um, you know, that's all you can ask for on a road game. Mikko had a great opportunity that Hellebuck made a good save. I don't think, Hellebuck played bad. I think he, you know, made the saves he should have made. And then there was a couple weird bounces, the tip goal by Rantanen,
Yeah,
the
there were no real
scrambling.
bad goals on Hellebuck, but but at the end of the day, he lost. He got outplayed, obviously, because the other guy just played better. But there were no real horrible goals. I agree.
Yeah. And he kept them in early. I mean, Dallas could have scored 2 or 3 goals in that first 10 minutes and it could have been a rout. So he gave his team a chance, but wild second period. Won't go into every single goal or anything. As you mentioned, Nemo's goal was pretty silky, little backhand. Looked like Ottinger was thinking it was going to go short side high and it went far side post, but good shot nevertheless. And then Mikko kind of put the team on his back again. But we talked about it a little pregame. Outside of Mikko and Jake Ottinger, who are obviously, player of the game and honorable mention for the Stars, Esa Lindell with another game-saving effort, that scramble in the third period. He's the one that chips it out of that pile and gets it to safety. Sort of the unsung hero. I thought, it was probably Jamie Benn's worst game of the playoffs so far. I thought Harley looked lackadaisical at times. He had a couple turnovers that turned into rushes that, he doesn't typically make. It wasn't the best Stars game as a 60-minute. Again, it was a great start. But sometimes you get those wins, and a guy like Jamie Benn is pretty resilient. He knows when he plays shitty. No one needs to tell him he played shitty. So
He knows he
I
screwed
expect,
up on that Scheifele goal, 100%. He knows.
yeah. So I expect a good effort out of him in Friday night's game, just because he took that penalty. He had the turnover. It just wasn't a great game for him. But they found a way to win. So hats off to them. Another win for the Stars without Miro Heiskanen in the lineup. It was good to see Robertson back. He didn't do too much, but just having him out there is a good sign for Dallas. I think he'll obviously help down the stretch. But nice to get that game one win, especially on the road. That barn looks pretty crazy there in Winnipeg. They got the weird song that they came out with, so I was happy. Dallas was able to shut that down pretty quick. But
you mean you don't love that Billboard #1 surefire hit that they came up with, the Winnipeg Jets? We're going to win the Stanley Cup. That's Connor Hellebuck. I mean, that's
so bad. So fucking bad.
It's really awful. You almost don't deserve to win a Stanley Cup when you're coming up with shit like that. Seriously. That's a horrible look. It is. I mean, you should see that video, that Winnipeg Jets music video they did. Oh, my gosh, make your ears bleed.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. So
it's really bad.
I can't believe they signed off on that, and they have a team of adults that were like, yeah, this is a good idea, but more power to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, 2 good games last night, 2 good games coming up tonight. We're in that stretch now where every night it'll be 2 games until one of these series comes to an end. So I'm looking forward to some good hockey tonight and through the weekend.
Yeah, no doubt. Oh yes, right. The chant, Jonathan. That's true. The U.S. backup chant. Yeah.
And we sort of talked about it in our text with my brother and Alex, and it's like, there are goalies that would negatively respond to that. They'd feel the pressure, but I don't think Ottinger is one of them.
No.
If anything, it kind of reversed him, where it's like, oh, you guys fucked up doing that. Now he's going to play out of his mind, and he did. So I don't think you can fault him on that Scheifele goal. And then outside of that, he was perfect. So keep chanting it. If you're Winnipeg, go for it. I don't think it affects him. I think it would affect a Hellebuck, who's sort of been.
He's got more bats in his mental belfry than fucking Jake Ottinger does. There's no question about that. The U.S. backup. Yeah, good thing the U.S. backup didn't allow a natty hattie in one period. Yeah, he did not. That would be Mr. Hellebuck that did that last night. The bottom line is, for Winnipeg, you got to have tomorrow night. You have to have tomorrow night. This guy has won 1 road playoff start in his last 10 road playoff starts, Connor Hellebuck. I mean, you're in serious ass trouble if you go down 2-0 Winnipeg tomorrow night. But we'll see if they can bounce back from that. But good wins last night for Toronto and for Dallas in those 2 series. We'll move along now to tonight, where we have 2 more games in NHL Stanley Cup playoff action. And we will begin with Carolina and Washington. And there is no doubt Carolina, full stop, no argument, no debate, was the better team in game 1. Washington could barely generate much, zone time, possession, shots. It was just a defensive team clinic by the Hurricanes to win game 1. And clearly people are responding to what Carolina looked like in game 1, and probably what Washington looked like in game 1, because this has all been moving in Carolina's direction. This opened as low as -130. That's right. -130 was the opener with Carolina here. Now all the way up to -170 here in this game. And I'm even seeing bookmakers gone up to -180. So it's been like a 40-cent move here on the Carolina Hurricanes in game 2. 5.5 the total in this game. If Carolina replicates game 1, they're probably winning again. If they can bring that again. I mean, Washington generated hardly much at all offensively. They put themselves in a situation where very few pucks got to the net. Freddie Anderson didn't have to face a ton of shots, and that's probably a good thing, because I've still got some questions about Freddie. But again, when Carolina defends as a team like they did, it doesn't matter who's in net. You could stick Ian Cameron in net and probably still find a way to win a game like that when you're going to defend like that on a nightly basis. That's how great and dominant they were. Washington got barely anything going on the offensive end throughout that hockey game. Now, the question is, will Carolina be able to replicate that, play that well, and that stingy and that suffocating defensively again? Or do the Washington Capitals find another gear? And they have to, because you just cannot play like that again and expect to win games in this series. The bottom line is Washington is still a team that's, number one in the East as far as standings are concerned and points are concerned. This has been a team that's been terrific all year off a bad game and a poor performance and off a loss, and it's been a coach in Spencer Carberry, who's likely going to win the Jack Adams Award, that has been very good at making adjustments and getting his team, making the right lineup changes to ensure a better effort off a bad game throughout the course of the season. We'll see if that continues here tonight in this one, if they can have that bounce back ability once again. Now, the concern is, man, that was just, as far as zone time and possession and not giving the opponent anything, that was dominant by Carolina in game one. But you also have to factor in one thing, too. You were that dominant. You gave Washington hardly anything outside of the Protas shot that was that obviously went in, the one goal that Washington had. And you still needed overtime to win that game. It goes back to the analogy I made with the dance floor yesterday on the show. Carolina's in the right spot the whole game, in the O-zone, puck possession, shots, shot attempts, all those stats that people fall in love with, the analytic darlings, the nerds, the math numbers people. They just love these advanced numbers for Carolina, the possession time, the Corsi, the O-zone time, O-zone, opportunities, shot attempts, expected goals for, all this stuff when it's all said and done. And at the end of the day, how the hell are you needing overtime to win that game the other night when you were that dominant on the ice and you still had to go to overtime in that game one against the Washington Capitals? There's something wrong with that. There's something really screwy about that. You're supposed to win a game like that. When you're that dominant, can you win a game 4-1 every now and then? Can I see a 5-1 victory? And I'm not talking about against the New Jersey Devils with 3 defensemen out. And I'm not talking about the New Jersey Devils with their best forward out, Jack Hughes, because I do know they did win one of those games in New Jersey 5-2. I'm talking about beating one of the better teams in the league, like a Washington. And when you do dominate them statistically in possession and O-zone and shot attempts and shots on goal and all this stuff, would it kill you to win a game easily, comfortably, not have Canes Nation or the Caniacs or whatever the hell they're being called right now, not have them sweat their ass off in an overtime game that you have no business being in because you should have put this team away and won by 3, 4, 5 goals? Could we get that from this Carolina team every now and then? I find for all the statistical dominance and all this possession and shot attempts and controlling the flow of the game start to finish, they struggle to win games easily for some reason. And this has been Carolina's issue for years, that even though they're doing all the right things, it's still a fucking sweat and a half to actually win a game. And that's the concern. You couldn't have gotten a better Carolina in game one. Probably could not have gotten a worse Washington in game one. And you still had to go to overtime. Something's wrong there. I don't think Washington's out yet in this series. They got this very important game. But Lenovo Center is a great home ice for Carolina, kind of like with Winnipeg. I don't see with Winnipeg, if they go down 2-0, I think they're almost done. If Washington goes down 2-0, I think they're very close to being done, but I could see them still making it a series. But you don't want to put yourself in that spot. It's a very important game for Washington. The one thing that Spencer Carberry harped on after game one was, I didn't have the team ready. I thought we were going to be ready to play game one. And right away in the first period, it was all Carolina. Really, outside of the power plays that Washington had, they didn't get anything generated. So I think it's very important for Washington to have that better start, that strong start tonight. We know the stats have been phenomenal for these teams off a loss, having a strong start. Look at Florida last night. Even though they lost that game, they still scored in the first period of that game. And that's the one that's really been just an outstanding angle to run with here in the playoffs. Team off a loss in the previous game, scoring in the first period of the next game. That alone is 28-12 here in the playoffs. So a team scoring a first goal or scoring a first period goal after losing the previous game of the series, 28-12. and they've actually got pretty good numbers as far as scoring the first goal of the game off a loss as well, 26-14 in the playoffs. So I like Washington goal in the first period for sure. That's my favorite look in this game right there. Minus 125 is the best price out there. It's a really cheap price now that all this money is poured in on Carolina, that you can get Washington at just minus 125 to score a goal in the first period. I really like that look. Capitals to get on the board in the opening period here tonight. And I'm going to sprinkle on Washington money line. I think it's gone out of hand. It's gotten out of hand. It's gotten out of hand at minus 170. Minus 170 on the road, it's gotten out of hand. Remember, you couldn't have played better. They couldn't have played worse, and you needed fucking overtime in game one. Something wrong with that. When you're that statistically dominant and you're controlling the play start to finish, and you still need overtime to win that game, they don't win games easily. And we're bound to see some kind of better pushback from Washington. I also think we're going to see, and this goes right into props in a bit, Alexei Protas is, I think, going to get back on the top line tonight with Ovechkin and Strome. Beauvillier's had that spot, but they moved Protas up there with Ovechkin and Strome in the third period the other night. And I think it's going to be a situation where Protas is going to be back there. Remember the chemistry they had, that line before he got injured. So I think there's a lot of value with Alexei Protas props tonight for Washington. Because they've devalued his props because of his position in the lineup. But if Spencer's going to put him back with Ovechkin and Strome, which is what we saw at times toward the end of game one, there's going to be great value for Alexei Protas props here tonight for Washington. So that's it. The total I'm staying off, 5.5. Because I'll tell you what, sometimes I like to think that after a low scoring game one, we go over the next game, but there was really not much pace. To be honest, it was a bit of a snore fest. Let's be honest. Let's call it like we see it. There's only been one bad game in the Stanley Cup playoffs, one dull game that we have seen really since Saturday. From Saturday's game 7 with Colorado Dallas until last night, every game has been a fucking cinema, in my opinion. It's been great hockey, but the one exception was that Carolina-Washington game. That was not a great playoff hockey game. That was not. It was a snore fest. And I think, I worry about the pace being low again here. Thompson's been phenomenal. He continues to play great. That's another concern I have with betting over the total. Anderson, I've got a couple. I think he should have stopped that Protas shot, but he also did make a couple good saves, and he didn't face much rubber. So I worry about, this being a game that could stay under once again. So I'm not betting the total. I'm only on Washington to get a goal in the first period, and I'll take a smaller shot with them on the money line here at plus 150. I think the value is shifted now, and we'll see if the Capitals have it in them to tie up the series at one game apiece. Matt, what do you think here? Game 2, Carolina, Washington.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about the snooze fest last game, but I don't know. I think Aaron makes a great point in the chat. I think if Washington wins this game, it's an over game. If Carolina wins this game, it's an under game. Carolina, they're playing at that pace where, if they're down 1-0 for 45 minutes of this game, they're not in a panic mode. That's fine with them. But I think Washington, if they're going to win this game, they need to come out and score some goals quick. So I'm on that Washington to score in the first. I'm going to split that with the money line. And then I'm going to take a first period over here. I don't know if it'll last, but I think, it wouldn't be crazy if Carolina scores in the first. I think Washington will come out, guns blazing after game one, and try and score 1 or 2. So it doesn't matter if it's 2-1, 1-1, 2-0. I like that first period over, but then I think things might slow down from there. I'm just, to your point, I'm hoping that it's a little more of an exciting game. Maybe some back and forth, maybe some power plays, because it really wasn't that exciting to watch the last game. So not too much. I wouldn't be shocked if Carolina wins. I'm not laying minus 170 to a road team against a team that was right there to win the President's Trophy. I think I hope Washington evens it up, because I do. With 4 series left going on, I want them to go as long as I can. As long as they can. Obviously, outside of the Dallas series, wouldn't hate a little gentleman sweep in that one. But But no, I think this will be a good game. Hopefully more exciting than game one. But yeah, Washington money line, Washington to score in the first, and then a shot on the first period over as well.
I think it can only be more exciting than good. It can't be worse. Can't be even less. It can't be less exciting. Can't possibly be less exciting than game one was between these two teams. So like I said, I'm still. There's a part of me with just how good Carolina was and the fact they could not generate much Washington. I'm not in love with them winning the game, but I have to take something at plus 150 now at this price. It's just gotten a little out of control with the big adjustment here toward Carolina. My favorite look in the whole game is that first period goal. I definitely feel confident Washington scores in the opening 20 minutes. A kind of response, I expect their best period to be the first period here tonight. And again, 28-12, you can't go wrong with that. 28-12, the record in the Stanley Cup playoffs for teams scoring a goal in the first period off a loss in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So that's the look I like the most. I like Protas, like I said, as far as a Washington prop. Probably my favorite prop look in this game. Maybe Wilson and McMichael on the second line. By the way, the big lineup change for Washington up front is going to be no Ryan Leonard. He's coming out, and Taylor Radish is going to go in. And I'll say this right now. I think it's a good move. I think Ryan Leonard kind of looked like the playoffs were just a little overwhelming for him. He's going to be a great player. Don't start thinking, this guy's going to be a bust. Nonsense. He's going to be a great, great NHL player. No question about that. He's got the character to be that. He's got the skill set to be that. Sometimes, just being thrown into a Stanley Cup playoff run, you're still a young kid. You're straight out of college. You're not always going to be ready to fire on all cylinders right away. It's just that simple. And you could tell when he had that great golden chance against Freddie Anderson the other night, and he kind of bobbled the puck and didn't really get a good shot away. You could kind of tell maybe the spotlight was a little bit too bright for him just at this stage of his career. Again, doesn't mean he's not going to get back in there again, but I think it's the right move. Taylor Radish is a more veteran presence. He's had a solid season for Washington. Carolina, why would they make many changes? They're going to, other than Mark Jankowski, injury related for him, but he still might play. Game time decision for my Dundas, Ontario fellow native here. Still might play here tonight for the Carolina Hurricanes. We'll see if he does. If not, you might be looking at Jack Roslovic coming into the lineup instead. That's probably the switch they would make. Rod Brindamore. Other than that, though, I think they're going to keep all the lines the same. I think Logan Stankoven is still great value for Carolina props. We saw what he did, obviously, with the goal. Beautiful goal. Terrible turnover, but Logan Stankoven took advantage of it for Carolina in game one. So I would say if I'm going to isolate one player on each team, my favorite player prop guy on either side, I'd say Stankoven, Carolina, Protas for Washington. That is definitely where I would be at, no doubt about that. Jackson Blake, too, still has value. As long as he stays with Aho and Svechnikov. Svechnikov had a tough the goalpost and crossbar was not kind to Svechnikov in game one. He had some great looks and hit the bar, I think, a couple of times. Jordan Martinook, yep. It's one of these deals with Martinook. You just take that price every game. And I think over the course of the playoffs, you're going to be profitable if you take Jordan Martinook. He's just got that knack, making a difference in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Yes, Olaf in the chat. We mentioned it earlier. Yes, Betcast tonight. Patreon exclusive live Betcast, 7 p.m. Eastern time. You have to be a Patreon member to join us. So again, patreon.com/Ice Guys. Make sure you sign up if you're not a member. It's the only way to join us on the Betcast tonight. So again, patreon.com/Ice Guys for that. All right, we move to the second game of tonight's doubleheader, Edmonton and Vegas. We've got Vegas minus 140 home favorites, 6.5 the total. Edmonton leading this series 1-0. And, I look at it and I say, Edmonton, there's something special going on here. To be down 2-0 against LA, roar back and win the next 4 games in that series, get better and better with each game. Game 3 and game 4 of that series, they didn't play great. They fell behind. LA was in control. LA sat back too much. Jim Hiller was a numbnuts, and the rest is history. Edmonton came back in those 2 games, game 3 and game 4, even though they didn't play great, but they played better in game 5. It was their best game of that series. They dominated. They deserved to beat LA in game 5. They played a really good game 6 as well. And then in game 1, after a tough start where they took a double minor, for a 4-minute penalty, and Vegas scored on it, And then Mark Stone got one a few minutes later. Kind of a bad goal for Pickard. I would have liked to have seen him make the save on that Stone shot, but just like that, it was quickly 2-0 for the Vegas Golden Knights. And then, of course, Edmonton got that 2-1 goal from Corey Perry. Corey Perry getting it to 2-1. And then from that point on, Edmonton was the better team. 100% they were. 12-1 in shots in the second period for Edmonton. They completely shut down Vegas. Vegas didn't do anything in the second period. And even in the third period, when Edmonton obviously finally got the game tied 2-2 with Draisaitl banking it in off Adin Hill, and then just the phenomenal shot from Zach Hyman that gave them the lead, and then the capper with Connor Brown, who just continues to be a playoff machine right now for the Edmonton Oilers to make it 4-2 and put the game away. Edmonton was the much better team in the last two periods of that game in game one. Absolutely outstanding. And to me, what's been remarkable, Matt, about Edmonton is their defense and their blue line, because they're supposed to suck on the blue line without Ekholm and really be it's supposed to be a compromised blue line, a susceptible blue line. And yet I just saw that blue line without Ekholm in that barn at T-Mobile in Vegas hold the Golden Knights to one shot in the second period. Are you kidding? How is this blue line doing it without Ekholm? Well, I'll tell you why. Brett Kulak's been phenomenal. Darnell Nurse and Evan Bouchard aren't making the fucking mistakes they did early in the Kings series. They've stepped their game up. Ty Emberson's given them some solid minutes. Like I said, Kulak's been absolute outstanding, gotten better and better and better as this series has gone. And even John Klingberg, I got to give him some love. I really do. I mean, he is actually playing some solid, steady hockey. We had that guy's career dead to rights before Edmonton took a shot on him. We thought it was finished for him. All the injuries, not playing any good defensively for years in this league. And John Klingberg, man, they've gotten everything that they could possibly get from him in a positive light, the Edmonton Oilers. And I have one man to really say he is the guy that's kind of somehow keeping this blue line, believing they can play solid and believing they can play decent even without Ekholm. And that's Paul Coffey, the legend, the Hall of Famer, an assistant coach on this staff. I think the work he has done with this undermanned Oilers blue line to get them better as these playoffs have gone on, I think he's done a phenomenal job, Paul Coffey. And not enough people are talking about him being on this coaching staff as an assistant and probably the influence and the impact he's made molding this Edmonton blue line. It's just been, I think he's done a great job. And Edmonton's got their confidence going. Like I said, this a Nurse, Bouchard, Wallman, Klingberg, Kulak, Emberson blue line's not supposed to scare the shit out of anybody. And yet they just keep getting better throughout the playoffs. It's been very impressive. I would expect, though, this game to follow a similar game flow early, though. I think Vegas will come out strong. They have to. Can't go down 2-0. You don't want to go down 2-0. I like Vegas to score in the first period. I hate laying minus 180. It's a big price. It's not a great value. If you want to wait a few minutes into the first period and see if you can get a better price during the period, I could see it, no question. But I'll take it pregame, Vegas to get a goal in the first period. If you don't like the juice with the Vegas first period goal, you could always parlay it with Washington to score in the first period in the first game, riding that 28-12 angle for the team that loses the previous game, scoring a goal in the first period. You could definitely do that. Mikey, our good friend of the show, has done that for this game, for these two games, I should say, here tonight, parlaying the two teams that lost the last game, Vegas and Washington, to score a goal in the first period. I do like that. I like first period over here. I know Matt mentioned it for the first game. This is the game where I like first period over. I think we'll get 2 goals. I'm going to come back to the well with the over 6.5 because I still think this is going to be a high-scoring series. And it could have went over the total because there were chances and it just fell short. I'm going to take a shot with the over 6.5 again here. But I like the first period over more than the full game personally, along with Vegas to score in the first period. But I'm also going to take Edmonton money line one more time, plus 120. I just think right now we've got question marks about whether Pietrangelo or Dorofeyev are going to be back tonight in the lineup for the Vegas Golden Knights. Pietrangelo, of course, missed game 1 with an illness. He's a game-time decision, last check for tonight. Dorofeyev, he's also missed the last couple games, going back to the Minnesota series in the first round. And he won't play tonight. Dorofeyev is indeed confirmed to miss once again. And look, that's a guy that can get 30 goals for you that you're missing. So you're gonna, and I know they're supposed to have great depth up front with the 4 lines, the Vegas Golden Knights, but that's still a missing offensive component. Not having Pavel Dorofeyev. So we'll see how that goes. And I think another thing we got to touch on here is the goaltending matchup. Calvin Pickard's playing with more and more confidence by the game. And Aiden Hill, I think, needs to step it up to. And I don't want to say Aiden Hill's been bad. He's been okay. He hasn't been great. And even in the Minnesota series, they won that series. I think he was okay. I don't think he was great in that series either, Aiden Hill. So I think there's another level he can get to. He's not at that 2023 Stanley Cup level as far as his net minding at the moment. He's got to try to find that, and we will see if he can tonight, because the more I watch Pickard, the more I'm seeing the confidence grow in him, and the more I'm seeing the team's confidence grow in him as well throughout the course of the playoffs. So even though I'm on Vegas to score in the first period, have that strong start, I'm going to take Edmonton to still. And remember, Edmonton's been the king of the comeback in these playoffs. Most of their wins lately, it's been trailing early or trailing at some point in the game and coming back to win. So they are not rattled by any sort of deficit, this Edmonton Oilers team. Keep that in mind. Matt, what do you think here? Game 2, Edmonton, Vegas.
This will be an exciting game to watch. I think I'm hoping for another back and forth type game. I know we didn't get quite to the over last game, but I was able to hit that same game parlay, so I'm definitely going to be on that again. 1.5, 5.5. I hit it, with the Oilers. I honestly think the Oilers have a good chance to win this game, so I may take a shot with Edmonton money line, split with the team total. On the off chance they lose 5-4 in overtime, you get your money back with that team total over 3.5. But yeah, I don't know. I think Vegas came out hot. They had a couple quick goals. I think both of them were Mark Stone goals. And then it seemed like, the tides kind of turned, and Edmonton, similar to Carolina in their game 1, was fine playing that tight 2-2 game. And then they didn't even need an empty net to hit the puck line. They just scored 2 quick ones at the end. So they obviously have the offensive capabilities to, do some damage in short stints. So, only need them to get to 4 goals tonight. I think the over 6.5 is still a good look, but I'm just going to do that SGP just to bring it down to 5.5.
All right, good stuff. Perlo did something very interesting. Perlo will be back, of course. He's with us on Mondays and Wednesdays. Perlo did something very interesting last night where he parlayed, what was it, Florida goal in the first period and Toronto goal in the second period. And he's trying that same approach here in this game with Vegas to score in the first period and Edmonton to score in the second period, parlayed together. Very interesting. It kind of makes sense. You expect Vegas to have the strong start. You expect them to carry the play in the first 20 minutes. They're the team that lost game 1 at home. And they're the team that's supposed to show that sense of urgency right from the opening puck drop tonight. So, yeah, like I said, I do like Vegas to get on the board in the first period. But you're right. Edmonton's been one of these teams where after a rough start, rough first period, they have consistently found a way to battle back, play better, and get stronger, as the game has gone along. So it's definitely, I think, something to keep in mind. It's not a bad approach. So I like what Perlo's thinking there with that. As far as the first period Vegas goal, second period Edmonton goal parlay for this game tonight. As far as player props, I do want to mention a couple. Mark Stone and Shea Theodore. And Shea Theodore's been ripping puck lately from the blue line for Vegas. They've gone over their 1.5 shots on goal 5 straight games, both of them, Mark Stone and Shea Theodore for the Vegas Golden Knights. So they are definitely good candidates if you want to ride the streak. I think the Nuge, Ryan Nugent Hopkins, this continues to be this is the Sam Bennett of the West right now. Take your pick. Dylan Strome obviously has had a crazy run until the last game for Washington with points. Ryan Nugent Hopkins now 5 straight games with a point, and he's barely minus 110, to get a point tonight for the Edmonton Oilers. So Ryan Nugent Hopkins is really, the Nuge has picked up his offensive game. Mark Stone, 4 straight games with a point. Matty Rob's favorite player in the league, I should add, Mark Stone. for the Vegas Golden. I'm kidding, of course. 4 straight games with a point for him. Zach Hyman, 2 straight games with a point for the Edmonton Oilers. Of course, he got the game-winning goal in Game 1. Just a ripper of a shot to beat Aiden Hill. He's gotten a point in 2 straight games, and he's only like in the -110, -115 range as well, as far as to get a point. Shea Theodore, 2 straight games with a point from the blue line for Vegas, which goes hand in hand with him shooting the puck more. So -130 or so for Theodore to get a point. That's probably worth a look. Corey Perry is always worth like Corey Perry is playing with Connor McDavid right now, and Leon Draisaitl. He scored, obviously, the first goal in Game 1 for Edmonton. He's still great value to get a point. You could probably take him to get a goal because you're still getting a good price there as well, playing with the 2 best players on the team and 2 of the best players in the entire sport. So Corey Perry, again, like his point prop is +130. He's +340 to score a goal. That's insane. That's absolutely insane in my mind, considering who he's playing with again. For the Edmonton Oilers right now. And yes, the other one is Connor Brown, 100%. Connor Brown, just to get a point, he's +190. To get a goal, he's +600, as high as that price at Bet365. He is just, again, for the second straight year, kind of a mundane regular season, but once again, turning it up in the playoffs when his team needs it the most. Back-to-back games with a goal for Connor Brown. 4 points in the last 2 games as well. Game 6 versus LA and Game 1 versus Vegas. So, yeah, those Perry and Brown, 100% top 2 value guys for player props right now for the Edmonton Oilers. No doubt about that. Got to bet them, and I will be tonight. No question. Player props for those 2 guys, no doubt. Yeah, Brett Howden. Brett Howden's a sneaky one. Flies under the radar. But Vegas can often be a team that can get punch and offense from the 3rd and the 4th line. And he's playing with Carlson and Smith now, so he's been bumped up a little bit, Brett Howden. So he's always, someone to consider in the back of your mind. As someone, maybe in a game like this with Vegas really needing a sense of urgency to try to tie the series, needing maybe an impact from a guy like Brett Howden here tonight in this game. Great stuff with Matt Robinson. Shout out to everyone in the chat at the like button. We appreciate it very much. And again, we've got our live betcast tonight, Patreon exclusive, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you join us. And the only way to join us, to tune into the betcast and join us on the stream during the betcast, is to be a Patreon member. So make sure you sign up, just $10 per month, patreon.com/iceguys. You'll get goalie charts, totals charts, our daily betting card, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page, all the access to the bonus content, and of course, access to all our Patreon exclusive live betcasts, including the one tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you join us. $10 per month. Your subscription goes a long way supporting the show and keeping us going long term. So make sure you sign up, patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 a month, and be there for the betcast tonight. And also check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. Usually the store's got some kind of a discount offer available. And again, you can get hoodies, caps, t-shirts, more so t-shirts this time of the year with the weather warming up, including Robinson gear to support our guys, Matt and Ryan Robinson. We got Robinson gear in the Ice Guys store right now, in Dallas Stars green as well, with the design. So make sure you check that out. All the great gear and all the great merch over at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. All right, we got Bargain Bin Special of the night and Best Bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Tailgaters Social, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page.
Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
Hey, Alex, have you checked out the latest with the great trading platform, Kalshi?
Yes, I have. It's been fantastic. This is one of the first and only federally regulated prediction markets in the U.S. And if you're looking for odds for all kinds of different things, not just what we're talking about, the markets in the Stanley Cup, the NBA Finals, you can trade crypto. You can look for trades within the markets involving entertainment, politics. There's all kinds of different markets you can look from, and you can use the odds over at Kalshi.
Time of year to get involved with Kalshi. Certainly if you're a sports fan, Stanley Cup playoffs, NBA playoffs, baseball now underway, with all the different markets to create winning trades. Make sure you're checking out all that Kalshi has to offer.
Absolutely. And if you're trading with Kalshi, use the link kalshi.com/ice guys. You trade $100 or more, they will send you $10 back. So it's fantastic to use, like I said, any kind of markets beyond sports. We're talking entertainment, politics, crypto, basically anything you want.
So make sure you sign up, kalshi.com/ice guys. Note that it's live on Robinhood and available in all 50 states, making it the first legal place to trade on these kind of events nationwide. Check it out, kalshi.com/ice guys. Shout out to all our great sponsors, Boston Hemp Inc., 20% off using the promo code ICE Guys. And make sure you check out the great trading platform. It's not just sports. You can trade on anything. Check it out, kalshi.com/ice guys. You have my sympathy, Perlo. I'm telling you, with those damn shots on goal props, I've lived it. Taking shots away from me. Stat corrections. Top Cheddar, who's a very well-known NHL content man. It's in our group chat as well, in our Ice Guys chat. He's seen this crap too over the years. It's frustrating, man. You think you got a winner with a shot prop, and it's all of a sudden 4 shots down to 2 for the game. I've seen it. That's why I don't bet him as much. It's frustrating. I'm sick of it. Sick of that nonsense. I had to get that off my chest. That's why it's frustrating, man, sometimes to bet those. Really aggravating. All right. What's not aggravating is the bargain bin special of the night segment, because we keep on having great results with it since we started it at the beginning of last season. Max Domi, plus 680 last night for me with the bargain bin special. Great to be able to cash that one. See if we can provide an encore for tonight. Matty Rob, we'll start with you on this Thursday bargain bin special.
I'll actually take it to that first game that, maybe we don't see quite as many goals as that second game. This is a guy who was on a 2-game heater coming into game 1, no points in game 1. He's right on the cusp. I'm seeing him at plus 300 on Bovada. But I think Tom Wilson buries a goal tonight for the Caps. I think if they're going to win, they're going to need some scoring from guys other than Ovechkin on the power play. And I think Tom Wilson's that guy that, especially at home, at home, that gets it done for the Caps. So Tom Wilson, anytime goal tonight.
All right, there we go. Tom Wilson for the Washington Capitals, for Matt Robinson and his bargain bin special of the night. You can get that as good as plus 310 right now. My bargain bin special of the night, I am going to go with, let me just see what the prices are. I'm going to go with three bargain bin specials tonight. 1 from Washington, Carolina, and 2 from Edmonton, Vegas. I'm going with Protas, plus 500 at Patano's, the best price. He got Washington's only goal in game 1. I think he's going to move back up to play on the top line with Ovechkin and Strome tonight. I could see Spencer Carberry making that move. So I'm going to go with him, plus 500 for Alexei Protas. And in the late game, Edmonton and Vegas, I'm not just going to go with 2 players from this game. I'm going with 2 players from the same team in this game, both from the Edmonton Oilers. I can't choose between them, and I like them both. Corey Perry plus 340. He's with McDavid and Draisaitl. That's just insane value. And of course, he scored in game 1. And the other is the little redheaded stepchild, Connor Brown, plus 600. They both scored in game 1. They're both undervalued. So there you go. 3 bargain bins for me tonight. Protas for Washington at plus 500. Corey Perry plus 340 for Edmonton. Connor Brown plus 600 for Edmonton. 3 bargain bin specials for me here for this Thursday night. All right. Best bets to wrap up the show. Matt, what do you like for best bet?
Best bet tonight, we're going to go back to the well with that second game. I'm not going to do any crazy parlays. That was a nice bargain bin hit, but obviously got pretty lucky with a couple late goals out of Edmonton. For me, I'm going to keep it simple. First period over in the Vegas-Edmonton game. I think, Edmonton can score 2 goals in any period of any game when they're playing well. I'm still not fully convinced on Pickard despite the 5-game win streak. He sort of looked like a men's league goalie on those first 2 goals and then really tightened it up. And I think Vegas is going to want to come out after that disappointing loss, after having the lead, giving up the lead, and then eventually losing late. So it doesn't matter. 1-1, 2-1, 2-0. Just need 2 goals in the first period of the Vegas-Edmonton game tonight. That'll be my best bet.
There you go. It's definitely going to be on my card as well, that bet for sure. Edmonton, Vegas, over 1.5 first period. Let me just see what the best price is with that. It's actually not bad price at all. Minus 130 is still out there. It's higher in some spots, so shop around. But yeah, Edmonton, Vegas, over 1.5, minus 130 in the first period for Matt Robinson with best bet. And my best bet, we're going to go to that first game, Carolina, Washington. I'm not quite there with that confident in Washington winning tonight, but I am very confident they have a much stronger, better, on their toes first period than they had in game 1. Because let's be honest, their game 1 first period was atrocious. And in fact, they were very fortunate to get out of that period scoreless. Carolina was all over them. Spencer Carberry's a great adjustments coach. I like the Radishin and Leonard move. I think Washington has a strong opening 20 minutes, and I think they get on the board in the first 20 minutes as well. 28-12. That's the angle, and that's the record for teams scoring a first period goal coming off a loss in the Stanley Cup playoffs. 28-12, and to be able to get Washington at just minus 125 to score a goal in the first period, I think that is definitely best bet worthy. Washington to score a goal in the first period, minus 125 for my best bet here for this Thursday NHL card. Betcast tonight. We cannot wait. 7 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you sign up. You must be a Patreon member to tune into the Betcast and join us. $10 per month, patreon.com/iceguys. And we hope to see you there tonight for the Patreon exclusive Ice Guys Live Betcast. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Matt Robinson, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Thursday night, and we'll see you in just a few hours for the Patreon exclusive Stanley Cup Playoffs Live Betcast. And again, back tomorrow on Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.